Hello, my name is Howie. I'm a family physician from Chilliwack, British Columbia, and currently I'm the president of the Canadian Federation of Catholic Physician Societies. I'd like to spend a few minutes discussing the contentious issues of euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide. As Catholics, we are well informed about the sanctity of human life, but my purpose today is not to review theology. For those who are interested in church teaching on these matters, I would direct you to the document Declaration on Euthanasia, put forward in 1980 by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, or Pope John Paul's encyclical of 1995, Evangelium Vitae. Also, I'm not going to discuss palliative care, which is the obvious antidote to euthanasia and clearly the preference of Canadians. Rather, my purpose here is to review some key medical considerations which explain why euthanasia is wrong. First, we must consider the perspective of our most vulnerable patients. One person's right can become another person's obligation. When patients have the right to choose euthanasia, there's an implicit message that some lives aren't worth living. Frail elderly, disabled people, cancer patients with a terminal diagnosis can easily perceive that we don't want them around. Indeed, their vulnerable situation makes them exquisitely sensitive to any nuance from family or caregivers that they are a burden, that their life has no meaning or no value. It is a very short step from believing that they can choose dying to believing that they should choose dying. Our courts seem to be obsessed with individual autonomy as the ace of trumps in all legal matters. Sometimes, however, the common good takes precedence over individual autonomy. In the matter of euthanasia, this is one of those times. The advocacy of euthanasia and assisted suicide is just too harsh and demeaning for vulnerable people. Another consideration is the effect on the doctor-patient relationship when doctors are licensed to euthanize their patients. This argument was brought forward 20 years ago by the great ethicist Edmund Pellegrino in his landmark paper, Doctors Must Not Kill, published in 1992 in the Journal of Clinical Ethics. This paper is remarkably prescient for our times in 2012. When a doctor offers to help a patient, any patient, we invoke trust. The pain and suffering of illness makes patients vulnerable so that when they come to see us, it is not as our equal. It is this inequality in the doctor-patient relationship, the vulnerability of the people we serve, which gives rise to the moral obligations that we study in medical ethics. The physician must be faithful to the trust built into the relationship. We must seek always to heal, not to remove the need for healing by killing the patient. Physician-assisted suicide breaks the trust, and this is why the American Medical Association, the British Medical Association, and even the Canadian Medical Association have all reaffirmed the proscription against doctors killing their patients under any circumstances. This is what we profess in our code of ethics. Hippocrates knew what he was talking about. I never want my patients to wonder which hat I'll be wearing today. Will it be my healing hat or my killing hat? I want them always to be absolutely certain that I am only there to heal, even when cure is not possible. Another argument is the experience from those jurisdictions where euthanasia has been legalized. The Dutch experience was reviewed in The Lancet this year. Though the number of euthanasia deaths without consent has declined since the Dutch government's Remelink report of a decade ago, there are still hundreds of these deaths, that is, euthanasia deaths without consent, occurring annually. Also, there has been a 50% increase in deaths by terminal sedation in Holland since 2005. Now, sometimes terminal sedation in palliative care is a legitimate strategy when all else fails, but this is rare. A 50% increase in 7 years suggests to me that a lot of these deaths labeled by terminal sedation are actually euthanasia deaths. In Holland, the elderly and disabled people are often fearful of entering hospitals and nursing homes. The situation in Oregon has been followed in the Journal of the American Medical Association. In one study, an amazing 87% of patients requesting physician-assisted suicide changed their mind when they were given adequate psychological and palliative support. When patients ask for death, it is often a cry for help or even an indictment of the care that they're receiving. Also of note in Oregon is that a mere handful of physicians write the great majority of lethal prescriptions. It would appear that some of us become desensitized to killing and maybe even develop a taste for it. Last year, a group of medical students and residents from Quebec wrote an open letter to the National Post. Quote, "We, future physicians, will be watchful never to intentionally kill those patients who will be entrusted to us. Rather, we will be witnesses to their beauty." Unquote. Life is beautiful, and young people like the ones who wrote this letter give us hope. Thank you for your kind attention.